Well, hello, my beautiful Leo. Welcome to my channel. This is Baba Jolie here with a little bonus reading all about you. I've already cleansed your space and have meditated on your cards. For those of you who are returning, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for all your wonderful likes, shares, and subscribes. I am truly grateful for all your beautiful energy. Just a little reminder though, this is a general reading, not a one-to-one reading, just so you're aware. Also, please be mindful, scammers are about, pretending to be me and lots of other tarot readers. I do not do personal readings and I will never reach out to you personally to offer one. Also, I will never ask you for money, e-gifts, or donations. So if anyone masquerading as me asks for anything at all, please report them or ignore them. It is a scam. Okay? Let's move straight on with your reading. Now, I will be using guide chimes, so please be mindful to turn down your volume if you are someone who is sensitive to sound. So let us start your reading and let us begin. Okay, my beautiful Leo, this is a little bonus reading all about you. Us tarot readers, we tend to focus on career, money, love, but we never ask how are you doing. So this reading is going to tap into what you're moving through at this moment in time and of course what lies on the other side. This reading, it may not resonate with everyone, of course, so don't try to make it fit if it does not, but this is going to tap into the core of how you feel inside and, you know, the things that have been affecting you in certain ways and, of course, how you are pushing through and what is to come from that. Okay, so let us start your reading. Thank you so much, spirit guides, great angels. Can you please guide my beautiful Leo? What do they need to be aware of at this moment in time? Can you please show them the way? The starting card there is the Nine of Cups. You just want to be happy. You know, that's your foundation energy. You just want to get on by. You have things that you're wishing for right now. You're very future focused, as it were. You're trying to, you know, lead the way as best you know how. And of course, when you have the giraffe energy, it means, you know, you tend to go a little bit above everybody else in terms of friendships, loyalties, success, movement towards your goals and dreams. You know, bring your A game. You're always thinking about the repercussions of what you do and how it affects others there as well. So that is a foundation energy. How would you like to receive? So we have the Page of Wands as your crossing energy. So that indicates a lot of you, it requires a lot of energy to run your life. And you may feel that perhaps you've been exhausted quite a lot there in your pursuit of your goals and dreams. But these are things outside of yourself. I mean, if you come to the very core and center of you, I feel there is this energy of like, yes, you know, you're wishing for certain things and you're trying to get on by, but you may feel like part of you is missing that spark with that, you know, Page of Wands in the crossing position. On the earthly plane position, we have the Queen of Swords. So I feel like there's logical steps that you're trying to take. You may feel that somehow you're a little bit detached from a sense of self in some way. You may feel like life has been a lot of pressure and you're almost like on autopilot with all the things that you got to do. You may feel it was easier in the past in some way, because I'm getting that strongly there. We have the Two of Pentacles, you know, that is a little bit more of a balanced energy in the past. You may feel that life has changed immeasurably over the last couple of years. And looking at the energy, some of you, you know, you're trying to come back to the very core of you, but you may feel like to some degree you don't recognize who you are right now as opposed to who you used to be. So you may be kind of outgrowing areas of, you know, yourself. We've got the King of Wands there. That is the potential energy. It means getting back to that sense of vitality, that fun, you know, that kind of influence that you had over your energy, but also over your life a little bit more. So I do see here that you're overcoming any challenges or obstacles because Queen of Swords is very practical. It's like, I'm just sticking to my plans right now because you may be looking at being self-sufficient In this moment, Queen of Swords is very independent, so it can indicate that you're looking to the future, seeing some changes that you preempt right now, and you're like, I just got to be clear in what I want, and structured and organized, and I just got to do, okay? Because Queen of Swords is very much like practical doer, taking action, ruminating on plans, strategizing, and that sometimes, I mean, we all have to do it, of course, sometimes it can take away that curiosity, that flow, that childlike spirit, because you got to do the serious stuff. You know, the Queen of Swords is a very serious card, and you may feel that life has been a lot of pressure. You have the Seven of Pentacles here. So this is your advice to yourself in this moment. And this can mean that you feel like there are some long overdue changes that you want to move through at this moment in time, and you're at that fork in the road. You may be like, looking to the alternative path, like, well, what is the alternative right now? Don't get me wrong, with a Nine of Cups there and a Queen of Swords, it means you're, you know, moving towards a very successful period in your life. You're wishing for something, and you're not, you know, waiting for it to happen. You're actually taking action towards making it happen there. We got the Four of Cups, but you're feeling like a little bit dissatisfied with that Four of Cups. You may feel like your abundance or what you're wishing for is always just out of reach, and you just feel like it's a lot right now. And we've got that Hermit energy there as well. So this can indicate that, you know, you're really soul searching. You're reflecting on who you used to be, who you are now, and where you want to go, but also who you are becoming in your future. So it can be that you feel a little bit in between worlds at this moment in time, because you're outgrowing certain things in your life that perhaps used to be relevant or all-consuming. You're removing yourself from drama. You're becoming very detached with that Queen of Swords energy. So it can be that, you know, it's scary, the level of detachment that you have managed to kind of action in your life, because Queen of Swords is very much like things at arm's length that perhaps don't resonate with you anymore. And the Hermit is like, if you think about it, a recluse. Now, I'm not saying that you're a recluse there, but it can be that you're detaching yourself and evolving to a position where life is getting quieter. And in that quietness, you may be wondering, like, is this the path? Because, you know, when things become very still and quiet there, then of course, you know, sometimes it feels a bit dull or boring with that Four of Cups. And you're like, well, have I kind of like distanced myself from so many things right now? You're feeling a bit isolated, or perhaps, you know, I'm being given a sentence by my guides, so I have to give it to you, okay? Please don't shoot the messenger when I say this, but it's almost like no man's land. Okay, so some of you may be moving through a world that you feel like you once knew in some way, and you're not sure of the path ahead. But I can see with your path ahead, with the Eight of Cups, you're in a period of walking away from things, learning what is for you, what is not for you. And actually, anyone who walks away on the Eight of Cups, that's why I'm so excited about your reading. I just got true chills right now all over, because Eight of Cups, walking away, brings a person to the Nine of Cups, which is the wish fulfillment. So I feel like you're soul searching, you're in a period of this journey of discovery right now, and that's when things fall away. And sometimes during this period, it feels isolating, lonely, and don't get me wrong, you know, I feel there's interactions here, there's energy with people, so there are energies surrounding you where there are connections, but you may be feeling something within yourself where you're just changing, evolving, maturing, and kind of like seeing the world and your immediate circumstances in a completely new light. You know, when you have the Hermit and the Four of Cups here, a lot of you are like fed up. You know, you're bringing your A game, you're doing a lot right now, and you're just trying to simplify life. You're trying to be happy. At the core of you, there is this simplification where you're like, you know what, I just want to be happy. I want to get on by. I'm wishing for stuff. I'm taking action, and you're trying to make your dreams come true and feel fulfilled in a world that feels like it's on its head right now. So you may be trying to make sense of things with this Hermit energy, and you're doing a lot of ruminating, contemplating, and you're just trying to seek inspiration and find your way. But a lot of you are also trying to find your way back to yourself in some way. That's what I'm feeling from your energy. Now, of course, this may not resonate with all of you, This is a level of you that I feel, of course, you tap into from time to time, because I feel like a lot of you are so busy that you have no time to even check in with yourself to see how you feel about what's going on. A lot of you, this is a card with that Queen of Swords on the earthly plane. It indicates that, you show up for yourself. You're so used to having to show up for yourself because either people let you down or they walk away, and you're outgrowing people or situations. But life has taught you that you are the sort of person that you can rely on for yourself, So this is a little nudge to take care of yourself. Very important there. But that Nine of Cups, this is, your foundation energy. So at the very core of you, this is what you're hoping for. Nine of Cups is like, you're not asking for the world, you just want to be happy with your nearest and dearest. For some of you, it could be you're wishing for a relationship, or you're wishing for more balance, more harmony, or you just want things to be like easier. And a lot of you with that Six of Cups, because that is a hope and a fear position, you just want to return to happier times. You may feel that the world has, and again, this is what my guides are giving me, it's like, yes, there are moments of satisfaction, but you may feel like the way the world is structured right now, or the changes that have occurred over the last couple of years, it's almost like it's robbed the joy out of certain things, and you just feel like you're witnessing a world that you once knew, but now you feel somehow detached or on autopilot. And again, it comes back to this making sense of things. If you think about a true nature of a hermit, they remove themselves from society because they feel somehow at odds with the energy. You may feel like you've been out of sync with the world around you. I mean, you're an old soul. So this tells me immediately that, of course, things that, really satisfy other people are not going to satisfy you because you've been there, done that. You're here to elevate to a higher consciousness, of course. But this card, being a foundation energy, you're trying to find emotional stability because, of course, cups are all about emotions, about your visions for the future, how you feel about things. So a lot of you are like, you may be trying to understand your feelings about your situation that you're currently in. And, you may feel that you also have to have this logical side. Maybe some of you have portioned up your emotions to the side because you're in fight or flight mode in some way, or, especially in terms of humanity, there may have been like this fight or flight response that got triggered a couple of years ago. And humans right now, we're all just trying to like work out what happened and find, a sense of self in all of the changes. Now, that was a long time ago, but of course, energetically, things are in our energetic sphere. We still feel these things. We still feel like we need to be vigilant. Whenever you have a Queen of Swords, this can be like you've moved from hypervigilance to just vigilance now. You're just witnessing, watching, being like really direct with what you want in life because life is so short. We are aware that, you're not going to sit around and just wait for things to happen for you. So it feels like you're busy doing, but also busy holding it all together is what I'm seeing. But with that giraffe energy, it says here, satisfaction, luxury, emotional stability. And of course, luxury is feeling secure, stable, safe in your environment. And, the Nine of Cups is an energy of like, you're building the good life, or that's what you want, or you want to lean more into sensuality in your life. You're trying to be successful. And, okay, thank you so much. I'm so grateful. Now, this did come up before I started your reading, and it's just popped in there again. So I don't let anything that happens before your reading influence the reading unless it pops up again. But I just heard Cleopatra coming at you, okay? Now, of course, Cleopatra, a very sovereign energy, very intelligent, historical figure who has a lot of power and very attractive and very commanding. So a lot of you, this could be remembering your sovereignty, taking back your power in a situation. I mean, maybe Cleopatra has a significance to you personally in some way. Maybe it's a logo or an acknowledgement or a sign that you've asked for. Not sure there. But I mean, Cleopatra coming at you. I'm being given like, maybe it is a song or something. Yeah, I think it's a song as well from like decades ago. And I feel there's something in that about knowledge being very powerful. So a lot of you may be learning about what makes you feel content right now. That's really important. One of the highest kind of missions in this lifetime for us all is to know thyself. okay? And the more we know ourselves, the more confidence we can have within ourselves, stand up for what we believe in, command our energy to focus on manifesting what we desire. And you have the Hermit, which is someone who is so knowledgeable. But when you are laden down with so much knowledge, so, you may be very voracious in your search for that knowledge. Sometimes, there is this energy like you may be asking yourself this. This is what's coming through. Like, you're someone who's super intelligent, because Queen of Swords and the Cleopatra reference as well is highlighting that you are someone who has some very deep thoughts there, very analytical. You're doing a lot of soul searching, but when you know everything or you see things in a different way, maybe you see things that other people don't see, it can feel like a burden. It can feel very heavy in its energy. And sometimes you may wonder, like, would it be better if I just didn't know these things or didn't witness these things or didn't go through an awakening? I didn't see things that other people don't see. I just feel it's so heavy and serious. So it's like a blessing and a curse that you are wise and knowledgeable and aware of changes that perhaps are shifting in the world or shifting in your present environment, as it were. And you're like, would it just be easier if I was just like footloose, fancy free, and kind of like not knowing or observing these things? Because this is a card of observing, being vigilant, keeping an eye on something, holding yourself to higher standards. And it just feels like it's very heavy. And somehow with this Page of Wands energy, it's like dampened your spirit in some way or robbed you of that spark. I want you to be aware it will return. Absolutely, it will return. Now, the spread I'm using for this particular reading for you, it is a Celtic cross. It means stages of self. Basically, it's your journey. So although these are two people, it can be that this is, a spark chemistry between you and a person, either a person who's in your life right now, or if you're aspiring to attach yourself to a significant other in the future and fall in love, then I see a spark chemistry between you and a person. So I feel like, you will return to a relationship that is supportive, kind, loving, and all of those things. But the Hermit is there. So it means that right now you're called to learn more about yourself and give back to yourself so that, you can feel fulfilled within you before you can share your life with another. Okay. But, coming back to this sense of your journey, the Page of Wands is curiosity. You may have felt like life right now has led you to a position where there's no space for curiosity because you're so like holding it all together. You've got things that you need to do that's structured right now. And you just feel like, well, when do I have time, Baba? I just don't have time. So with this energy, I feel like you are going to find your way back to that curious spirit, that childlike energy within yourself. It is in there. But often, it gets hidden or put away when we feel circumstances outside of ourselves kind of present a threat, or we have to just be really practical about life to just get on by, okay? So I feel like you will be nurturing that connection with your higher self as well as your inner childlike spirit as well, and recognizing that it is a process that you're going through, but there are better and brighter times ahead and more balance in your future as well. But it says exploration, excitement, and freedom. And a lot of you, in the world that we're living in right now, you may be questioning, agendas regarding freedoms, and you may be kind of looking at your personal freedom in circumstances as well. You may be encompassing the whole thing because the Queen of Swords sees it all. Okay, Queen of Swords is like, okay, I see what's going on. I'm willing to be open to see, but at the same time, I don't agree with it or I'm not sure about it. I need to process it. So you may be trying to work stuff out right now regarding your immediate circumstances, but also the world at large. And you're trying to make sure that you retain, of course, your freedom. Very important for every one of us to do that. But, it says here exploration. So a lot of you could be exploring new pathways or wanting to, and you may be unsure, but you're logically trying to work out the best steps for you as you move ahead there. But also the Page of Wands energy is enthusiasm. So some of you may be like, okay, life is a bit of a Groundhog Day right now where, you feel it's the same old thing, just a different day. And you're trying to get back to that spark where you want to be a little bit more enthusiastic about things. And you may be looking at things that you used to do that just don't feel the same way anymore because you are evolving. And I feel like you are adapting to change. And if you feel like you're in that no man's land, as it were, that came up from my guides there, this can indicate that you are becoming, that, I don't see that you're lost per se. I see that you're, in an uncomfortable state where your old self is undergoing a transformation so that your new self can actually be reborn, as it were, and you're in between. So I feel this is you feeling frustrated or feeling like sometimes lethargic, exhausted, fed up with the way things are going, feeling like it's a struggle right now. You may feel that society has lost its soul in some way, or you're coming across a lot of selfish or immature people, but there are the right people aligning with you. If you felt that way, I do feel like people are trying to find their way at this moment in time, and they may be doing lots of gear shifts. And sometimes when people get into a very kind of fight or flight self-preservation mode, their go-to triggered response is to shut down and protect themselves and be in their bubble, or one aspect of ego comes up to protect. So whilst this is a very deep reading, and of course it may not resonate with all of you if that's what you're experiencing right now, we have to approach humans, everybody we interact with on a day-to-day basis or moment-to-moment basis, that everyone's going through something and they're just trying to make their way and understand what's going on, okay? And if all of us did that, then the world would certainly be a better place. But we tend to acknowledge that we have our own little world and we have feelings in our own little world. And sometimes things outside our own little world feel very personable or feel very targeted, okay? Now, everyone who is interacting with you, they are aware of their actions. Everyone makes a choice, okay? And they must take accountability for those actions, of course. But I feel there is this energy of acknowledging that you're going through something right now. And sometimes, unless we articulate our feelings, because the Queen of Swords is to find a healthy way to express ourselves so that our needs can be met, then the other person is not going to be a mind reader. They may not pick up on clues. They may not understand. So we have to foster a dialogue to highlight, look, this is what I'm going through. So because this card is in the resistance position, you read the reverse as well as the upright. Some of you may felt, a little prickly there, a little bit frustrated, antsy, or under a lot of pressure, and you may have felt cranky at times. And, I feel this is about really expressing yourself when you feel those moments, especially with your nearest and dearest, okay? So a lot of you, we all have these thoughts going on deep within ourselves. Some we express, some we don't. So it can be that to avoid any combustible energy or knee-jerk reactions in relationships, just because there's two people here, conversation is the key to being really kind of honest, open, and give clarity. And I feel like you would respect the same in any discourse or dialogue with another person there as well. So if you're going through something with somebody right now where you're really frustrated with this person, they're also having this inner dialogue within themselves about their hopes, their fears, their worries, their anxieties, their OCD moments. We all have kind of something that perhaps overwhelms us in moments, and we may not always share it, but we must acknowledge that, we all go through something like that from time to time. And with that Queen of Swords energy, this is a very knowledgeable card. It indicates that you would prefer to know things, and that can sometimes, make you feel a sense of responsibility. But it is the earthly plane position, so it indicates perspective there. It says perspective, clear-mindedness, and complexity. And you are a wonderfully complex human. And I love my beautiful Leos out there. And you're a fire element, so passion, vivaciousness, that spark, that's you. That go-getting spirit. And of course, that is an aspect of you. But you may have felt like life has been very hard right now, and there's almost a part of you where the Queen of Swords can operate from a position of sadness, sorrow, or needing to be very strong-willed because you feel like life or something or someone has been very challenging. You've dedicated yourself to something, and I feel like you may have often been misunderstood in your life by people, and you've been trying to learn how to express yourself from a healthy position so that people do not misunderstand you. But that's often their perception, where they put their expectation upon you. And I feel as you mature, you realize that. But you're a very powerful, principled person. And I feel you may have been suffering with something or challenged with something, and I feel like you're just making it on through. That's what a Queen of Swords is. It's like, okay, you know, you've had to be very shrewd with your boundaries and say, look, do not overstep a mark. If some of you are parents, for example, it can be that you've been going through like a challenging period with a child or a teenager, and you know, there's this energy where you've been there, done that, because you've got the 8 of Cups there and the 9 of Cups. So you've come up and you've gone through and battled inside of yourself when you were a teenager, for example. So you know what your child is going through, right? But at the same time, there's a healthy balance because you have that 2 of Pentacles there, between being strict, of course, and having boundaries and setting very clear definitions for those boundaries. But at the same time, that Page of Wands says, you know, they also need to explore who they are and go off and do their own thing and be wonderfully independent. So you're trying to find a measured way to guide and give options, for example. So I'm just giving you an example. Not everyone is going through that, but I feel like you will find your way to, you know, happy medium and a balance there, okay? But coming back to you, because this reading is all about you, not things outside of yourself, we have the 2 of Pentacles in the past position. Now, this can indicate that it's always been busy. You've always been pushed and pulled in many different directions in life, and you've dealt with a lot of people or circumstances that have been very inconsistent. And that's why you've had to show up for yourself and move through these radical changes. But also, you are guided and you are protected. This is an energy of moving from a very personal energy where it's like you may have at one point, and don't shoot the messenger when I say this, at one point you may have decided something needs to change, okay? Because change only happens when we are so fed up with either other people's BS or our own, okay? So you may have felt like, okay, I need to be concise and I need to be direct and make a decision, be abrupt in that decision, and, you know, be realistic but honest with myself and not kind of sit on the fence on things. You're being really direct with life right now and say, okay, tap into my intuition. What is it I want? And if you have moments of needing clarity, but, you know, you feel that there are a couple of options that make you feel clouded, sitting in silence is important. That is the key to you really understanding your gut instinct and your heart. They always know the way. I mean, your first instinct is normally the first one. It is the option that you truly want, okay? But then we second guess ourselves and we start to talk ourselves out of it and see all the different angles, which is great. We need to be informed, but at the same time, you know, it's important to recognize that at the core of you, there's something that you really wanted deep down, and that is your truth. That is your true answer, okay? Now it says here, balancing decisions, priorities, and adaptation. So a lot of changes that have gone on in the past for you, and you're navigating these changes and you're trying to create this structure. And what got lost in all of this is that playfulness, that curiosity, because there's just not been any time for it, or there just hasn't been any space for it, but you are returning to it, is what I see there. That King of Wands is an energy of passion, being driven, and you're all of those things. Those things do not disappear within yourself. Life, it tires us, we get exhausted, you're always on the go, you have so many responsibilities right now, and you just want to kick back, have fun, relax. You're trying to influence your circumstances in the best way that you know how, but a King of Wands will actually push any obstacles out of the way, but you must follow your passions with that. And a lot of you, you know, the King of Fire can be this energy of spiritual influence, aligning with your belief system, your goals, your dreams. And this is about like, and again, don't shoot the messenger when I say this, sometimes we got to get out of our own way and just like live in the moment and experience. Again, easier said than done. We all like to envisage our future and manifest, which is very important there. But, you know, we must not forget about the present moment. Now, this card tells me that you're someone who is very physically attractive, okay? But some of you, on a personal level, you may have grappled with your looks at some point, just because on the earthly plane position, my readings are not normally about aesthetics, but the Queen of Swords can indicate sometimes you're very critical upon yourself, very harsh, comments, intrusive thoughts sometimes that perhaps you're trying to manage. I feel as you mature, you will realize how awesome you are and how awesome you have always been. Okay, so this is something that perhaps you're learning to move through as you mature there. But I feel also this is a card that indicates a lot of success. You're driven, but also I feel it's that spark starting to increase. When you have that Page of Wands there, that is that kind of like joie de vivre, that excitement, that enthusiasm, that new idea, that sense of purpose. You know, I feel right now the sense of purpose is to have structure, responsibility. There's stuff you got to do. And then there's like other purposes that we can have in our lifetime. And I feel it's important to recognize this card says big picture, overcoming challenges, and being a leader. So yes, I feel like you are taking back your power in some way in your life, and you're making some changes that you're going to be super happy with. A lot of them can be quiet changes. They don't have to be big monumental ones, but these quiet changes will lead to the big stuff in the future there. Now, in the near future, we have the Hermit, so you have been called at this moment in time to have a bit more of a quiet stillness in your energy, if possible. I know you're super busy, but the Hermits, you know, they rarely remove themselves from society or, you know, from the fray of everyday life, unless they're feeling like fed up or at odds. And you may feel, as I said, that society has somehow lost its soul or its spark, or you feel like you just don't resonate with the world that you see at this moment in time, but you will do, because you are returning to brighter times here. And I feel, especially with the Hermit, you know, this is a period of soul searching for you, and an awakening is not like this aha moment where harps and cherubs come down and say, oh, you're great, you're elevating spiritually now. I mean, an awakening is sorting through the mud of life. It is like going through setback after setback, and then suddenly realizing that actually it was a setup and a setup for the next part of your path. And that can sometimes be isolating, alienating, but the best is yet to come, is what I see there. Now, if some of you are searching for your soul tribe because friendships have been evolving and you felt like you just don't resonate with people anymore, I definitely see here that you're going to be meeting people who align with your truth and see you for who you are and do not misunderstand you, who encompass the whole of you and seek to understand where you're coming from, even if it is a different perspective from them. You know, people who really kind of like embrace your uniqueness, as it were. And, you know, it says here, contemplation, solitude, and insight. You're in a period right now of knowingness, downloading truths, both inner truths as well as witnessing things in your outer circumstances. And it can be a lot, okay? I feel like you are seeking inspiration. I feel like this is a time for reflection, going inwards for truth, wisdom, and answers. But also, it is you kind of being in this pause to recharge your batteries. You know, when we, as a society, you know, we kind of like recharge our batteries, perhaps, and I'm just, you know, presuming here, and I shouldn't presume really, but what I'm seeing in the water right now, my guides are giving me that sometimes, you know, when we're not physically taking action on something, we're on cell phones, you know, scrolling through wonderful reels. I love them as well. You know, cats doing weird and wonderful things, and, you know, dogs doing alternative things and all of that. I love that too, because it just makes me feel like everything's right with the world, coming back to animals and how they're instinctive and caring and do like wonderful things with their unique personalities. But sometimes we have to acknowledge that we've lost touch with nature or a sense of groundedness within our soul. And I feel a lot of you are called to do that right now. So you may actually start detaching from certain practices that you found yourself caught in a loop with. You may be, as I said, stricter with your energy at this time in order to do more meditative practices. Doesn't mean you're not going to be like scrolling on your phone. Doesn't mean that you're not going to be connecting to the internet or to, you know, social media or to people. It just means that you're trying to find a little bit more quiet time in your life, even if it's 5 minutes, to just check in with your feelings. Because the Hermit and the Nine of Cups is like silence. What is my gut instinct telling me? What are my true feelings feeling? Where am I feeling it? Sometimes you can check in with yourself and you're like, oh, my feet My feet are throbbing. They hurt so bad. So bad. My body is telling me something. And other times you can really just sit still and check in with yourself and go, oh my gosh, I need a massage. My neck. It is so sore, so tense, holding up this big brain or, you know what I mean? Because the neck is one of the toughest muscles, the strongest muscles, holding the whole head up there for long periods of time. And again, we're at angles with our posture, looking at devices, for example, tilting our head down to look at things. So you may be just noticing that different parts of your body are crying out for attention at this time as well. So my guides are just highlighting, come back to the center of you, really feel what each part of your body and your emotions are telling you. And that's where you need to give a little bit more importance or attention to at this time. Now, we have the Seven of Pentacles, okay? This is your advice to yourself in this moment. Life, it's hard work right now, and you're about it. You're happening with it. It literally says hard work there, perseverance and diligence. You're just trying to power on through and make life work as best you know how with the resources you have. And a lot of you may be open to looking at the alternative right now, whatever that may be. You're just contemplating there's got to be an easier way. Well, I see that a path is going to be made clear for you to have a better way, but also some of you may be looking at alternative lifestyles at this moment in time, or alternative diets, exercise routines, practices, meditative practices, environments, countries. A lot of you are just looking at what is the alternative path right now, and can it co-align with what you're doing right now and complement the way that you're living right now, or is it a complete shift and something different? So I feel a lot of you are just seeking at this moment in time, like, this is what I'm doing, and what is the alternative? And can I do both, or can I just shift and do something new? Because a lot of you, this is a card of self-evaluation, which I feel like you're in right now, because something is dissatisfying or something just feels like you're fed up with it. Because that Four Cups is an energy of, I don't want to say numbness, but it's almost like you're on autopilot in some way with that Four Cups. And this is something that's outside of yourself as well. This is the position that is outside of yourself. So you may be picking up that as an empath with the world. Everybody's trying to find their way. A major shift is upon us, has been upon us for a number of years now, and you're just trying to make sense of everything. And it says here, apathy, contemplation, and disconnection. So disconnection can happen in so many forms, okay? We can be having a conversation with a person and they're just talking away, and suddenly you pop in there with like, oh my gosh, did I leave the cooker on, the stove? Did I leave it on? Or you can be like, oh gosh, I didn't get that for dinner for everybody for tomorrow. You can disassociate or disconnect in so many ways, but a lot of you may have felt really disassociated from yourself in some way, or you feel like, there's a lot of apathy at this moment in time, and it just feels like there's a little bit of emptiness there, but you are going to return to more fulfillment because that's the very foundation of you. But it says here, this disconnection is also on a level where knowing when you need to connect and when you need to disconnect is so important at this moment in time as a boundary and a self-preservation mode. Sometimes, you don't want to let anyone down, so you're always there giving so much of yourself to everybody, and you're still going to be there for people because you have a lot of nurturing qualities. You're a healer, you're someone who really cares, you're a great friend. But know when you need to replenish your own cup, know when you have to erect a boundary and say, you know what, I'm going to help you, but right now I got to give to me, or I'll be there when you need me, but at the moment I need me. So, there can be that balance with that aspect. Now, we have the hope and a fear position. We got the Six of Cups. As I said, the Six of Cups is nostalgia. So this is like you felt things were better in the past, or just easier, or just more fun in the past in some way. But you will return to those brighter times. I want you to be aware of that. Also, you may be wondering, is what you're asking for ever going to be delivered? The thing that you're praying for, wishing for? The answer is yes, okay? But some of you have been called right now to walk away from something that is not fulfilling you, or feels like it's at odds with who you are or your sense of direction at this moment in time. And when you kind of like move out of that, then everything will completely align. A lot of you, this is you removing yourself from familiarity in order to embrace the extraordinary. Sometimes we get comfortable with certain things because it's a structure. It's just the way it's always been. But suddenly when you start to feel tension, when you start to feel, despondent or dissatisfied, that is your body and your soul and your higher self saying something needs to change. They can be quiet changes, as I mentioned, or small compartmentalized changes, but they will lead to a whole, which is going to be a monumental shift in your life that makes you, be happy, content, and fulfilled in a way like never before. It says here, familiarity, yeah, there we are, memories, and healing. So you're walking a healing journey right now, and sometimes we have to get a little bit lost in order to rediscover or redefine. And I feel right now with this Six of Cups, because it is a hope and a fear position, the hope is that you do align with balance, harmony, and that you do return to happier times. And, for some of you, there's a pregnant lady on there, so there could be an energy of like you hope to birth new ideas, or you hope to feel, can be that you hope to make a difference in some way, or that you hope to move through this growing pains kind of period in your life, and that, as you mature, that you learn to nourish yourself in a different way, that you don't allow the world to harden your heart, as it were. But also the resistance position, because you read it in the reverse as well, this can indicate that, you're so fed up of feeling like there's always this missing ingredient. You may worry about debt, you may worry about selfish people, or you may worry that it's always going to be a constant struggle. But I can see that actually the best is yet to come. I feel like you will return to more balance, harmonious energy there, and realize that actually you are a gift to the world, to your friendships, to your immediate circumstances, and whatever it is that you connect to. Now, a lot of you are also connected to your childhood at this time, really thinking about, the path, the experiences you've had so far, the journey, who you are becoming, as it were. And I feel like, yes, you're outgrowing different aspects of self, but I feel like you're becoming the person that you are right now, because the person you are right now is the person you needed someone to be when you were younger. You're someone who is very strong, protective. You are a very strong guiding influence, as it were. And I feel like a lot of you may have needed that. And I'm not saying, there's any blame with parents or guardians or anything like that, but you may have felt that there was a moment in your life when you were younger when you needed someone like you. Or maybe even you needed your future self to come and tell you, it's going to be okay. You're strong enough to walk the path. You've got everything you need to be the wonderful you. And yeah, there's going to be challenges. Yeah, there's going to be ups and downs. That's life. If anyone ever tells you any different, then, everyone has something, right? So we got to have real talk here. So I feel this is about you acknowledging that you've come a long way. And yeah, you may be uncertain about your future as to how things are going to pan out, because that's your Eight of Cups. The person on the Eight of Cups doesn't really kind of know exactly what lies ahead in the future, but they know that what's happening right now is not as satisfying as it used to be, as it once was, or is just not satisfying in general, and knows that they need to walk away. And as I said, the walking away part, the lifting, all of the heavy stuff, the baggage, and placing it down, saying, you know what, I don't need this anymore. Now, to forgive a past situation doesn't mean that you're letting anyone off the hook. It does not mean that you are, giving them a free pass. It means that you're holding this all inside of you. It's hard to let go of things. It's hard to walk away from things. But essentially, when you walk forward with it, that heaviness is within you. That anger, that frustration, that blame, that, some of you may not have any of that, right? But if any of you do, it's hurting you. It's not hurting the other person. The other person's off living their life, or the other situation is now in the past. It's an illusion, doesn't exist anymore. It was very important at one point because it shaped who you are, but you must not allow it to have control over you in your future, or even in your present moment. So walking away is actually setting you free, okay? So a lot of you could right now be looking at the alternative path, or a restart, or freedom in a situation. Eight of Cups means freedom. If you can walk away from something, that is freedom right there, because that says that you can detach. And as I said, you've mastered an art of detachment right now. And that means you're taking back your control, because if there's anything in your life that you cannot walk away from, that is hurting you, of course, it has control over you, not the other way around. So I feel there's freedom right now, and you're taking back your power in a situation. So it also says here, just before I leave, it says, walking away, disillusionment, leaving something behind. You know, you're seeking greater authenticity. My guides are pointing at my tea right now. That's how I know. Thank you so much. I'm truly grateful. It does say authentic on this t-shirt. I hope you can see it because the camera angle, sometimes you can't see the messages on the teas. My guides actually bring me to each tea that I should wear for each reading. So I feel this is about you coming back to your core, your center, your authenticity, and leading with your truth. And your truth may not be accepted by other people, but that's okay because it's your journey, not theirs. They've got their own to contend with. And if anyone is trying to, you know, meddle with your journey, it means they're not content with their own. They're trying to control someone else's because they can't control their own. So I feel there's a lot of acknowledgement there about you taking back your power. We got the Empress. Look at that. And the Star. So a period of healing, shining a light, recognizing that you are passionate, that you are birthing wonderful new ideas, birthing a new path. You know, when we birth a new path in our life, that can be painful. You know, it's hard to change. We have a structure that we kind of get comfortable with, as it were. But we have the Empress there, okay? And this is about nourishing yourself in a different way. And nourishment means walking away, saying no, erecting boundaries, having quiet time, listening to your body's needs. It's all of the stuff. It's also nurturing what's important to you to build an abundant future. But it says the future will bring healing and respite for your emotional and physical wounds. Your investments will pay off in the future, and you will carefully tend to them. Okay, so loving that. We've also got the Star. You know, I often say that you have a natural spark and shine about you. When you walk into a room, you have natural gravitas. And people may have tried to dull that shine because your sense of who you are is often giving people permission to be themselves. But you'll have that odd one person who shies away from your light because it is very exposing. It means they should be more confident within themselves, but they haven't found that in their life at that moment in time. So they feel intimidated by your spark or your shine because, you know, it highlights where they have not become comfortable with their own. So if you've experienced that in your life, know that your truth is to keep shining despite anyone else's other intentions or projections, shall we say. It says the time of your renewal is approaching. By being brave enough to choose the riskier roads, you will inspire those around you and probably inspire yourself. You know, the Hermit has a star in the lantern, okay? So this is about letting the star out, letting it shine. So if you feel very contained in your world right now, this is a time to explore that alternative path. And, you know, you're aligning with your wishes with the star energy. It means there is a brighter future to come, but perhaps the alternative path is actually calling to you at this moment in time, and you're doing your research, your due diligence in order to structure it before you take the next steps. But I can see that you're going to, you know, feel more content, and you're going to align with what you desire in your future. And it will get a little bit easier there as well, okay? So I'll leave it there. I hope something resonates for you in that reading, my beautiful Leo. I'm just going to get a trinket before we close. Okay, and we got the cocktail, okay? So, I mean, if you think symbolically about the cocktail, it basically means, you know, in order to have the right, you know, taste in a cocktail, I guess, you have to have all the right ingredients. And you may feel like there's some missing ingredient in your life right now, and you are in search of that at this moment in time. And then you'll have the full mix. You can mix it all up, and it is your lifestyle in accordance with your acquired taste, of course. But also it can be like you need a break. You need to be on the beach right now, having a massage, having a cocktail. I'll join you. Let's all go together. It'd be amazing. But I feel it's important to recognize this cocktail has an umbrella there. So I feel there is an energy like, yeah, things have been mixed up recently and you have been caught up in that mix. And I feel the umbrella represents protection. And of course, I feel there is an energy here of you, like, I just heard, I mean, it's a cliched sentence, but my guys just gave it to me. When life gives you lemons, lemonade, okay? And that's not a cocktail right there. There seems to be some sort of fizzy bubbles there. So maybe it's life is about to get a little bit more fizzy. and you're seeking a little bit more excitement, that's definitely that Page of Wands there. I do feel it is going to come into your life, and this is, you know, a period where you're pushing on through, but what's on the other side is going to be worth it, okay? So I'll leave it there. Thank you so much, my beautiful Leo, and love and light.